This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Myha'la about industry. How are you today?
Hi, Abe. I'm so well, thanks. It's nice to be here speaking with you.
I was listening back. We spoke 3 years ago, right after season one had ended. And we're like, this is your first TV role.
Oh
We
my
talked
God.
about Daria, which seems like so far. Like Harper is so far past that now. Like, who even is that anymore?
Oh,
But
that
it is great to see that people are finally like starting to find this show, which I don't know where they were the first 2 years. Do you have any idea why it is that season three is really like getting out there?
I mean, there's so many factors. I think the COVID of it all in our first season, the strike then of it all. There's so many contributing factors. I wouldn't be surprised if Sir Kit Harington was a massive draw for a little more mainstream eyeballs. But I just think, and this has happened, that was sort of the trajectory of Succession. There's so many great shows that they build their audience over time. And I also think as a production in our third season, we really found our maturity and we found our rhythm and our groove. We know exactly what the show looks like. We know what it sounds like. Um, and in the first season, of course, we're still all sort of figuring those things out. And there's also something to be said about all of us going off and having done other projects where we glean new audiences who then come to watch this one. But I think it was just it was just the time. It was just the season to watch. And I'm really grateful. I'm always grateful for anyone and everyone who watches whatever I do, regardless of the number of people. So yeah, we're really glad. We're really glad that it's reaching the audience that it's reaching.
Great. I would love to talk about those other projects a little bit later, but there's too much to talk about with industry. And I feel like, are you feeling okay about where Harper is going? Because I feel like there were some first season, it was like, okay, there were a few things she's doing that may not be great. And now I feel like season two and three, it's a little harder to defend Harper's morality. Is that a good way of putting it?
Sure, you're welcome to put it any way you'd like to put it. I think, listen, I am her for about 6 months out of my year. So as an actor, as the person who brings her to life, I have to understand, appreciate, and agree with the way she moves around. Otherwise, I can't play her genuinely. Um, and I don't think that she means to hurt anyone. Like, Harper understands the world in which she moves. And I think a lot of people would argue the way she moves is not terribly dissimilar to the way her white male mature counterparts move. And the only reason it seems controversial is because she's young and a woman and she's sort of doing it with no shame. And to that I say, you go, girl.
Well, you mentioned Kit Harington as a potential draw, but you get to share your scenes with someone else who I have to assume you had seen Barry before
Yeah, of
meeting
course.
Sarah. I feel like there's that one episode, I think in the either the last or second last season where it's just like so dark and she's so incredible. And I feel like that's
Yes.
what you need as your frame of reference for this character here, who is
Yeah.
a perfect counterpart. Like there's no emotion in a lot of ways, and it must be terrifying sometimes acting opposite her.
No, not at all terrifying in the sense that she's a very generous, open, available actor and person who loves to play. Like, doing those difficult scenes are some of the most fun. Like, that's what actors are dying to get to do. We work our whole lives to be able to do those really juicy moments. And because we trust each other and it's so easy to be around her and you feel really safe, then being able to go to those places is only fun and not scary. um and I mean, she's so brilliant in the show. Like, the way she spits out the jargon with such speed and precision, and in those moments so much vitriol is was really exciting to watch, especially because it can feel like such a stark difference from her character on Barry. And I think that's the mark of a really brilliant actress. And I loved working with her. She was so sweet and so fun.
I did ask you last time if you felt like you understood anything about this world, and I wonder if over 3 seasons, like, well, I know these words, I don't know exactly what they mean, but I could pretend just as I do when I'm acting.
Exactly. Oh, just as I do when I'm act in my life? No, I would never dare. I would never dare. Because if I pretended like I knew what I was talking about in real life, like I do when I'm acting, somebody might believe that I really knew what I was talking about. And I'm not interested in having to explain any of these things because regardless of the amount of time I spend in this world of finance, there's a ceiling to the things that I can genuinely understand. And I accept that. That's okay. I am just an actor. I'm not going to be anybody's financial advisor. I'm just not the one, and I accept that. I'm okay with that.
It's been pretty incredible watching the relationship between Harper and Yasmin and just how crazy of a roller coaster that's been. What has it been like exploring that with Marissa?
Marisa and I are very dear friends. I We have so much love for each other and so much respect for what we both do, what we bring to the table. Being able to go to any place with her in the show is always fun. We're like constantly exploring and learning and discovering new things about these characters and their relationship to each other. So yeah, we were excited, and this really felt like, especially when we get to that scene in episode 6, so very lovingly coined as the slap. It was like the culmination and the apex of their entire relationship. They love to hate and hate to love each other, and the only place they could go beyond this was physical violence. And who doesn't love a climax, you know?
Well, I know that 3 years ago, I think I talked to you a day before I talked to Ken, and this time I talked to Ken yesterday, and now I'm talking to you.
Like,
So with lots of admiration for you, also just preface that it's interesting to see how the roles have sort of reversed in the
yeah.
Harper Eric dynamic, and I'm curious for your take on that and what you'd like to see in the future from two of them.
Yeah, I mean, this too felt very much like a breaking point with this relationship. Um, it was very exciting to explore what it would feel like when Harper does feel like she's one upped him. He is the reason for the place we find her at the beginning of the season, like absolutely at the bottom of the barrel, so much threatening her life, her visa, and everything. And because we don't spend any of the season speaking to each other until that meeting in the conference dining hall. And because we're great friends and we love working together, we were so excited. We were so like all this anticipation and excitement was building up to get to just be on the set together, that when we were and the scene was this really like intense sort of sort of what is it, like a what is that thing when two people are like about to fight each other? A standoff. There it is. And because we're finally in this standoff and now the roles have sort of reversed and we had all this natural excitement underneath it, like playing that scene, it was like, I have finally won. I have won you and I'm putting you in your place. And nothing feels better to me than this revenge. Um, yeah, it was just exciting. And it was really nice to work together. Like we love working together regardless of what it is. So yeah, there was a lot of we felt like we really earned that moment.
Without getting you or me in trouble, is there anything you can preview about season four?
You know I can't do that. You know I can't do that. I've already done too much. I've already done too much. People know what my look is. You know, already done too much. But I appreciate you asking. That's your job.
Well, we can talk about the two big movies that you made between the time we last talked. I am somebody who doesn't like horror, and
Yeah.
both of these films, in their descriptions, I could have read them, been like, you know what, I should avoid them. And I'm very happy I didn't because both of them are totally my speed. I also had the chance to Leave the World Behind at the AFI Fest premiere in
Oh,
person. So that was
great.
exciting to get to see with an audience. I think that definitely helped. What's next for you in the world of film? Are these two like good indicators of what you want to try to do in the future?
Of what I'm gonna do. I mean, look, I'm so young, and my career is quite literally like just sort of starting. There's nothing I don't want to try. You know, I'm not. I don't want to box myself into any genre or character or whatever. I would love to dip my toes in it all. But all of those movies were wonderful. I'm very proud of them, and I'm not going to say no to another one. So we'll see. You never know. You never know the way. You never know what's going to come. You never know what you're going to be ready for. So I don't want to limit myself at all. I would love to. I would love to explore all that the industry has to offer me.
And Bodies, Bodies, Bodies and Leave the World Behind are very much ensemble movies where you
Yeah.
definitely do not have top billing, but you're also working with some great co-stars and especially
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali. Like it makes a lot of sense. Do you feel like there's a real difference when you're, number one versus, just sort of with everybody else?
Of course, of course. There's not in terms of how I do my job, like not in terms of how I learn the script or what I show up to do on the day, but there is absolutely an unspoken responsibility as the lead of a show or the number one on a show, where you almost single-handedly set the tone for like the vibe of the shoot, like how everyone's day-to-day experience is going to be, when the cameras roll, but also when they don't. And it's just a sort of natural thing where people look to you. They say, "Oh, you're leading us, so how is it that we're going to be today?" And so having that sort of responsibility, you get to decide how you want to take that, and I feel so blessed, so grateful. I'm so appreciative to have a production of people who are there to support this art we're making all together. We all have a common goal. So my version of being the number one on a call sheet on something is just to make sure that the way everyone makes me feel seen, heard, respected, appreciated. I want to make sure everyone on the set who's supporting me feels that same way from me, because that's just how I live. That's just how I work. And why would I not want to have like a good time on set? You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about it. But it's a complicated feeling. It's interesting, the responsibility, but you also have to like learn your lines. It's 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 difficult, but it's an honor.
And what are you watching these days? What have you seen on TV recently that's really stuck with you?
What am I watching? Ooh, what am I watching? What am I watching? Honestly, I'm watching The Amazing Race because one of my best friends from college is on it. So that's what I'm watching right now. And I think I've got one episode that I'm waiting to watch until I get back to Wales to watch it with my partner. So that's really the only thing I care about right now.
And is there anything that you have coming up besides Industry Season 4 that you can share a little bit about?
Nothing. Oh, let's see. Let's see. I don't actually have any like dates or anything to share, but I filmed two movies last year. One called Swiped, starring Miss Lily James, and that's about the inception of Bumble, the app. Um, that one's pretty cool. I play a drummer in that, so that's going to be pretty cool. And then I filmed another one called "They Will Kill You," starring Zazie Beetz and directed by Kirill Sokolov, which I'm super excited about. I have no idea when they're coming out, but filming those both was really fun. So we can look forward to those for sure.
And They Will Kill You sounds like something I could ask you to make
And
sure
the
it's something
Gus
I
Van
can look
Sant,
forward to.
Myha'la.
Oh, and the Gus Van Sant film. I worked a lot this year tonight. Oh yeah, Gus Van Sant. Jeez. So I also did another one called Dead Man's Wire, starring Dacre Montgomery and Bill Skarsgård and Coleman Domingo and a couple other people. Um, did they announce Anik? Did they announce that other guy?
No, they did not announce anything for that,
Great.
but we do have a September release for Swiped.
Do we? Oh, great.
Yeah,
Well, swiped in
there
September.
you
Very exciting.
go.
But the Gus Van Sant film was amazing. I mean, Gus Van Sant is literally a living legend. So working with him was like such a gift, and I'm really looking forward to that one too because I'm doing a sort of dialect for the first time. Yeah, yeah. Couple of things coming down the pike.
Great. And just to clarify, They Will Kill You sounds like it could be borderline horror, but I assume that's safe for me to see too.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. If you watched Bodies, you'll be fine.
There we go. Well, I am looking. There's nothing, still industry sometimes is the most intense and frightening thing that I could watch just for the social drama. So, but it is such a pleasure to speak with you again. Very excited to see how everything's gone over the past few years, and looking forward to everything coming up.
So nice to see you again. Thanks very much.